For 2 years, my manager Janelle took credit for a project I built almost entirely by myself. She presented it to leadership as her vision, her execution, her win. And on the day she was promoted to senior director, largely because of that exact project, I handed the CEO a folder of evidence that proved otherwise. Time-stamped files, emails, and a recording that made it impossible for anyone in that room to pretend they hadn't heard the truth. I need to start from the beginning because the slow burn of this situation is honestly the most infuriating part. I joined a mid-sized software company as a data analyst about 3 years ago. My manager, Janelle, had been there for almost a decade and had a reputation for being tough but fair, a phrase I would come to learn really meant takes your credit but will occasionally buy the team pizza. About a year into my job, our department was struggling with a recurring problem. A major client kept threatening to leave because our reporting dashboards were clunky, slow, and constantly produced errors that the client's finance team had to manually correct every month. This client represented close to 15% of our company's annual revenue. Leadership was understandably panicking. During a team meeting, Janelle asked if anyone had ideas for how to fix the dashboard issue. I'd actually been thinking about this problem on my own time, partly out of genuine interest and partly because I was the one fielding the client's angry emails every month. I pitched a rough idea: rebuild the entire reporting pipeline using a different data architecture that would eliminate most of the manual reconciliation errors, automate the monthly reports, and cut processing time from about 6 hours to under 20 minutes. Janelle loved the idea. She told me to flesh it out and bring it back to her. So I did. Over the next several weeks, I built out a full technical proposal: data architecture diagrams, a project timeline, resource requirements, even a working prototype using a sample dataset to prove the concept functioned. I spent countless evenings and weekends on this, genuinely excited because it felt like the kind of project that could actually move my career forward. I sent Janelle the full proposal via email with the prototype attached, and a note saying I was happy to present it to leadership whenever she thought was appropriate. Her response was a single line: "This looks great. Let me review and get back to you." 2 weeks later, I was sitting in the audience of a leadership town hall when Janelle got up and presented her new initiative: a complete overhaul of the client reporting pipeline. She used my data architecture diagrams, my timeline, my prototype, with my name quietly scrubbed from the file metadata, though she missed a few places which became important later. She called it an idea I've been incubating for a while, and talked about how she'd personally built out the technical framework. The room was impressed. The CEO, Marcus, specifically praised her hands-on technical leadership, something Janelle, who I'd genuinely never seen write a line of code or open a SQL editor, did not actually possess. I sat there in the audience, stunned, while my coworkers around me clapped. I want to be honest, I didn't say anything that day. I told myself maybe I was misunderstanding the situation. Maybe Janelle planned to credit me later. Maybe this was just how things worked at a corporate level, and I needed to be patient. I'm not proud of how long I gave her the benefit of the doubt. Over the next several months, I did the actual implementation work: building the pipeline, testing it, debugging it, presenting technical updates to Janelle so she could relay them upward. Every single status update I gave her got repackaged in her words and presented to leadership as her own progress updates. I have, to this day, a folder of probably 40 emails where I explain technical decisions to Janelle in detail, and then within 24 to 48 hours, those exact explanations, sometimes with my specific phrasing barely altered, show up in leadership update emails from Janelle, with zero mention of me. The project was a massive success. The client's complaints dropped to almost zero. Processing time dropped exactly as predicted. The company even won a renewal contract with that client, specifically citing the dramatically improved reporting experience as the deciding factor. And at the company's annual leadership offsite, almost exactly 2 years after my original pitch, it was announced that Janelle was being promoted to Senior Director of Analytics, a new role created specifically because of her transformative work on the client reporting overhaul, which single-handedly saved a major account. I was in that room too. I clapped because what else do you do? But something in me shifted that day. I went from feeling hurt and frustrated to feeling something much colder and more focused. I started building a case. Over the next 6 weeks, I quietly compiled everything. The original proposal email with my prototype attached, with timestamps from almost 2 years prior, the file metadata from the architecture diagrams Janelle had presented as her own. I'd kept the original files on my personal drive, and the created by and last modified by fields still showed my name on several of them because Janelle had only edited a copy, not the originals. The 40-plus emails where my technical explanations were lifted nearly verbatim into her leadership updates, Slack messages where Janelle explicitly asked me to walk her through technical concepts so I can explain it to Marcus, and then there was the recording. About a month before Janelle's promotion was finalized, I'd been in a one-on-one meeting with her where, completely unprompted, she'd said something that I still can't quite believe she said out loud. Honestly, between us, I couldn't have gotten this promotion without your work on this project. You should feel really proud of that. She said it almost generously, like she was doing me a favor by acknowledging it privately in a room with no one else where it would never matter. What Janelle didn't know was that our company used a meeting transcription tool that automatically recorded and transcribed all calls scheduled through our work calendars, a tool IT had rolled out company-wide for accessibility and accuracy purposes about 6 months earlier. Janelle, who delegated basically all calendar management to her assistant, had no idea this had been enabled for her recurring one-on-ones with me. I, on the other hand, had read every word of the rollout email. I had a transcript with a timestamp of my manager admitting in plain language that she couldn't have gotten her promotion without my work on the project. I compiled everything into a single PDF, the original proposal with timestamps, the file metadata screenshots, the email comparisons side by side, and the transcript excerpt, highlighted. Now, here's the part I knew was the riskiest. I didn't send this to HR quietly. I didn't request a private meeting with the CEO. I'd watched enough of these situations play out at our company to know that quiet complaints about senior people tended to disappear into HR's void, get looked into, and result in absolutely nothing except the complainant getting subtly frozen out over the following year. So instead, I waited for the company's quarterly all-hands meeting, the one where Janelle's promotion to senior director was going to be formally announced and celebrated in front of the entire company, about 200 employees, both in person and over video call. During the all-hands, there's a portion at the end called open floor, where employees can ask questions or raise topics directly with leadership. It's meant for things like benefits questions or office logistics, but technically it's open to anything. After Janelle's promotion was announced, complete with a slide showing before and after metrics from the reporting project, crediting her vision and execution, and after she gave a gracious little speech about being proud of what the team accomplished together, the closest she'd ever come to acknowledging anyone, and even then it was vague, the open floor portion began. I raised my hand. I asked calmly into the microphone that was passed to me, I have a question about the reporting project that was just highlighted. Would it be possible to get some recognition or compensation adjustment for the engineer who actually designed and built the technical architecture for that project? I have documentation showing the original proposal and prototype predates Janelle's presentation to leadership by about 2 years, including a recorded conversation where Janelle acknowledges this directly.
I had already sent the PDF to the CEO's executive assistant about 10 minutes before the meeting started, with a note saying, for Marcus's review before open floor if possible, not as a public ambush exactly, but timed so that he'd at least seen it before I said anything, and so that he couldn't claim later he had no warning. The room went very, very quiet. Marcus, the CEO, to his credit, didn't immediately dismiss it. He paused, glanced down, presumably on his phone or laptop where the PDF had landed, and said, I think this is something we should discuss in detail outside of this setting, but I want to say on the record that if there's documentation showing a discrepancy in how credit was assigned for a major project, that's something we take seriously, and I'll be looking into it personally starting today. Janelle's face, broadcast on the big screen behind Marcus because she was still standing near the podium from her promotion announcement, was a thing I will genuinely remember for the rest of my life. The aftermath took about 3 weeks to fully play out. Janelle's promotion wasn't rescinded outright. The company didn't want the PR mess of publicly reversing it. But I was given a substantial title bump, senior data engineer, a retroactive bonus tied specifically to recognition for the reporting platform redesign, and I was moved onto a different team that reported directly to one of the VPs, completely out under Janelle. Janelle herself stayed at the company for about 4 more months before deciding to pursue new opportunities, which everyone understood to mean she'd been quietly pushed toward the door once it became clear leadership no longer fully trusted her. A few coworkers told me afterward that what I did was brutal, that I could have handled it more privately, given Janelle a chance to make it right on her own. And maybe that's true, but I'd given her 2 years of chances, quietly, hoping she'd do the right thing eventually. She never did. She took a private moment where she genuinely complimented me and treated it as something that would simply vanish because she assumed, like she'd assumed for 2 years, that I'd just keep doing the work while she took the bow. She was wrong, and the recording proved it.